I think the DFL, including Mark Dayton's campaign, was sorely behind the times.
Democratic Visions is handmade in Eden Prairie and Minnetonka by DFL Senate District 42.
But with me right now is a living broadcast legend, Nancy Nelson. Nancy hosts the Nancy Nelson Show, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. weekday on AM 950 radio, KTNF, the voice of Minnesota. On Saturdays at noon, she mixes showbiz banter with politics on her program Make a Difference. So here we are. It's everything shaken out. Mark Dayton will be our next governor. And we've held on to the Secretary of State, the Attorney General, and the State Auditor, all distinguished Democrats who put people before political agendas. But we have this new situation in the State Senate and in the State House. What are your thoughts?
You mean aside from
yeah, well, that's
you know, I don't know how the Democrats missed it. I don't know how we didn't pay better attention. Shame on us. And what on earth, aside from I'm mad at you, so there, I'm going to shoot myself in the foot, was the Minnesota public thinking about to collar themselves now with the Republican House and Senate?
We lost some very, very good
Oh,
people.
my golly. Maria Rude in my area.
Paul Rosenthal from West Bloomington.
Yeah, and I think undoubtedly perhaps the greatest loss this state has seen in a very long time is Jim Oberstar.
It's just a new ball game completely with the Capitol over there overrun by Republicans. And
this state has been gutted for the last 8 years by Tim Pawlenty. The nation was gutted by George Bush. We are in terrible straits nationwide and in our state. What's going to happen to education? What's going to happen to transportation? What's going to happen to the social values that we hold? What's going to happen to people who don't have health care now? And Pawlenty and his Republican cronies keep saying we're going to reject health care reform so that more people in Minnesota can't go to the doctor. I don't know how they sleep at night. I don't know where their moral compass is. I don't know where their ethics and decency are, but they frighten me.
Now, I respect your political judgment a very great deal, but
I hear a but coming.
No, but I know that you talk to individuals on your radio program day in and day out.
Yes.
There's got to be true concern out there among the progressive world about the consequences of this election.
You're absolutely right. And they're frightened, but they're also angry. And in many instances...
Who are they angry at?
The Democrats.
And
they're angry at us.
Are they angry at the party apparatus? Are they angry at themselves? Are they angry at their candidates? Is there a combination of things?
Yes, all of that. But what I seem to hear most about, and I couldn't agree with them more, is that we liberals have failed. The Republicans have done an excellent job of forming their message, getting their folks to understand it, and falling in lockstep behind.
And then repeating it.
Exactly. And we Democrats, even though we know we're clear about what we want to do, we haven't framed it properly. I think the DFL, including Mark Dayton's campaign, was sorely behind the times with this last campaign. We should have had our DFL at the election level be involved in blogging. They should have been more involved in the kind of thing Mike McEntee does. They should have been tweeting and twittering and Facebooking and more YouTubing. They didn't do enough of it because, like it or not, that's the younger generation, it is the next generation, it is our young current voter and all of our future voters. We still cause confusion, even within our own party. We haven't done the job of putting it together, putting it out there for you so that you can pick it up and say, oh, that's what you mean.
See, I for one don't blame the voters. I mean, the voters vote as they think they should vote for the betterment of the country. But I think it's up to us as party people to give them, as you suggest, reasons why they should understand that voting for Democratic candidates is in their long-term interest. And I fear we dropped the ball in this last election.
I couldn't agree with you more. I couldn't agree with you more. And really, that's a lot of what I'm hearing from our listeners. And of course, the truth of the matter is, what do we do about it now?
Exactly.
What do we do about it now? Well,
what do you think?
We fix it.
Yeah, but how do we do that?
We are more active, we are more involved, we are more concerned. You keep persevering. You work in your grassroots communities, you work at the Democratic meetings, and you say constantly, come on guys, communicate better, form it better. Let's work on that communication so people can grab it and say that's what it is.
But you're aware, of course, that the U.S. Supreme Court has tilted the playing field remarkably by the Citizens United decision, because Maria Rood and Paul Rosenthal
were beat because of it.
Their opponents received tens of thousands of dollars of advertising and promotional materials from these so-called independent groups. I think that's probably the death of public financing, because how can you possibly, if you're a candidate like Paul Rosenthal, how can you agree to abide by the spending limits when you know that your opponent is going to spend X amount of money, and then there's another entity, unknown entity, of course. We wouldn't want to have anybody disclosing where these monies are coming from, spending that kind of money against you. I think this past election is also a testament to the poor judgment of the U.S. Supreme Court in the Citizens United case.
I think it's beyond poor judgment. I think it is a devastating step in harming our democracy before
it's almost incomprehensible how they could come to that
beyond our
decision.
understanding. And it's interesting, isn't it, that the court case was called Citizens United. United for what? Stealing democracy?
Right.
I mean, now all of these people can pour all of this money in and essentially, literally buy a seat in the House or buy a seat in the Senate. And when they say, we're going to target somebody like Maria Rood, they do. They send in money. We don't know where it came from.
With a vengeance.
Oh, absolutely. No conscience about it. We're going to kill her because we want her dead. And that's indeed what has happened. Now, of course, already in Congress, thank goodness, some of our senators and representatives, Al Franken, Amy Klobuchar, they're talking about getting a bill passed that will insist on all sorts of forms of disclosure, because the caveat that we keep ignoring and the Republicans love to ignore is that even though the Supreme Court did this to us, and I think they did it to us, they did say in their ruling that this would work best with full disclosure. The Republicans don't talk about that, but even the Supreme Court said it. But they didn't say you have to have full disclosure. So we have to be on our representatives, because we can still have full disclosure. And then we can embarrass people like Target, who all of a sudden people stop going to and they go, oops, better not do that.
Yeah. Nancy, you're a lifelong broadcaster, and so is your late husband, newscaster and host Bill Carlson. WCCO over the years has had Bud Kraling, Dave Moore, and Bill Carlson. Don Shelby just retired. Iconic figures all. You're still in high gear. But what do you make of the new media?
Oh, golly, I wish I had a wonderfully easy and positive answer for you.
Are you thinking about Matt Drudge, for example, when you have that hesitation?
Golly, undoubtedly, everything changes. As long as the FCC dissolved all of the laws that used to exist, it used to be that individuals and corporations could not own more than one or two entities in a community. They didn't want them to be able to form the opinion of a community. Well, now a Rupert Murdoch and a Fox News and their affiliates and their radio stations and the Rush Limbaughs are literally forming and spoon-feeding the population of the United States of America, their ideology and their politics. I wouldn't like it if they were Democrat any more than I like it if they're Republican. It is dangerous for a democracy. We are in trouble.
Democratic Visions is handmade in Eden Prairie and Minnetonka by DFL Senate District 42. Norbert Gurnis, Chair.